Hello and welcome to another CrispHP tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be talking to you about compression on the vocals. Now, I looked on YouTube and it's not a very familiar topic with YouTube tutorials. For some reason, vocal compression isn't really mentioned that much at all on YouTube, sorry. So I came to the conclusion to actually create a tutorial for you in video format, and I will be posting a textual tutorial on Vivophonic to show you how to compress a vocal. Now, before I start, I have to stress that there are no rules whatsoever when you compress anything or do anything in the audio world. What you do in the end is what you want to achieve when you finish your project. So before I get started, I'm going to do a bit of a shameless advertisement of my website. Now, here you can probably find a lot more things than I post on YouTube. For example, Take Note, One Time It Matters is not on YouTube, and I have tutorials in a text format. So if you ever find yourself unable to concentrate during a video, you can read the tutorials. They have pictures as well, so it's not, and they also have sound samples here as well. You can click on tutorials here, and you'll have a list of tutorials that you can read, from the first one I wrote and to the last one, the most recent one. I also do weekly tips, writing music tips and stuff like that. Also, you can suggest tutorials for me to make with the suggestions contact page. You can also read a little bit more about me and what I do on the About Me page. It's quite a lengthy post, but I assure you it's not too much bragging going on there. So let's continue with the tutorial. So I'm going to find a piece in the track that has a clear need of compression. So I'm going to play from 25 to say 27, and you will hear the difference in dynamics when she sings.
If you hold me while the pieces...
So as you can hear there, when she sings hold, it is a lot louder than the rest, and you can actually see that in the waveform. So to fix this, we're going to compress the vocal. I'm going to enable it and play it again.
If you hold me while the pieces...
Now, as you can hear, it sounds like the same volume as the rest, but you can tell it's been sung louder because the attack is a lot harder, and that creates some weird voodoo compressor magic, and it actually adds nice character to the sound. Now, different compressors have different sounds when they hit loud peaks and stuff like that, but for this I'm going to use a standard Steinberg compressor that comes with Cubase 5, because if you're using Cubase, you're going to have this compressor with all versions. So I'm going to show you how to compress a vocal. Now, what I normally do is I normally select a part that is clear to me, that I know needs compression, and then I bring up the inserts, Steinberg, dynamics, and compressor. Now, when you start the compressor, this is always your default compression. -20, ratio of 2, attack is always 1, hold is 1, 500 for the release. So I'm going to set a cycle. So now when you compress something, if you play it on the default settings, it is compressing, but that's if your threshold is going above -20. So let's play this.
If you hold me while...
You can hear there the hold me is still louder, but it's not as loud to where it actually is noticeable so much. Also, when you play a track when it's going to be compressed, you should see gain reduction here, GR, in this column. If
you hold me while the pieces set again...
You can see there it was taken off a couple decibels. To be exact, the highest it was taken off was -4.57. I'll reset on these. So now normally you want a harder compression than this. So I go to start with, I always go for 35 and a ratio of 3.5. Then we attack down slightly. I always seem to turn hold off, because that what will hold do, it's like an envelope. Basically you have attack, which means how fast it like attacks on the vocal, how fast it will take the gain down. Hold basically is how long before the release kicks in. So you could have attack, hold and release. But normally you would want attack and release. So you've only got the up and down. You haven't got up and sustain and down. It's just up, down. Now with a vocal you want the release on a fairly medium like setting, say to 190-ish, like so. Now if we listen to this.
If you hold me while the pieces set again.
There's quite a lot of harsh reduction there, so I'm going to turn up the threshold slightly, so say 29.
If you hold me while the pieces set again.
So you have a nice result there with, say, I'll round it down to 29 and a ratio of 3.5. Now bring the ratio down ever slightly to say 3.
If you hold me while the
Let's go back up to say 3.30.
If you hold me while the pieces set again.
Now you're probably wondering what threshold does. Well, threshold is like the moment the compressor kicks in. So if it's at 29, it's only going to kick in on signals that go above minus 29 decibels. And in this case, if I just quickly bring up my mixer page, we can see the highest the female vocals go is minus 3.1.
If you hold me.
Yeah. So what that is taking off that and bringing it down by 3 decibels, by the ratio of 3.3. And then the makeup basically adds back that gain that you've taken off. So if I turn this to 0,
if you hold me while the pieces,
it's very quiet. So we have to make up for that by turning up the makeup gain. Let's say 5.
If you
say 7 then.
If you hold me while the pieces,
Turn it up a bit more, why not?
if you hold me while the pieces set again. If you hold me while the pieces set again. If you hold me while the pieces set again. If you hold.
So 0.5 is a good attack for this because it's not too harsh and it's not too slow.
If you hold me while the pieces set again. If you hold me while the pieces.
So we have a nice compression there. You can see it's quite a safe gain reduction, and the maximum it's outputting is minus 7.3. So now let's listen to the rest of the track to check if everything's okay.
Breathe softly, don't worry, I've heard all of the. It's just another. Don't hesitate, it's easy.
Just going to quickly check over the bars 13 to 14 and a half. I'm going to bypass and enable the compressor every pass.
Don't hesitate, don't hesitate.
So as you can hear there, the don't distorts in my headphones slightly, only slightly, but with the compressor it's a nice safe level to use. So that's how you compress a vocal. That's a very basic guide on compressing vocals. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And a quick side note, I use Wave's Vocal Rider Live when I do my narration. And basically what it does is that it's like a compressor, but it's riding the fader like you would do with vocals or other instruments if they get loud suddenly and you don't want to use a compressor because they do add a certain character. So you can use a fader. Now what this does is it automatically writes it for me. And I put it on the narration. So every time I go up, the fader drops to take my vocals down. And every time I go quiet, it rises up. So if I talk loudly now, it's going to decrease back down to, say, 0. Like so. So thanks for watching this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. Like I said, go ahead and go and visit my website, avivophonic.com. You can also head over to the suggestions page and email me, or even suggest a tutorial for me, or you can leave the comments down below on my YouTube page. And I'll read all the comments that you post, after I've approved them, that is. And thanks for watching, and I should hope to see you in the next tutorial.